Bulatale everyone, welcome to my fourth podcast. Pinakabakalebu for the likes and the love and the comments that I've got on to my podcast. I do appreciate it. What I'm gonna talk about today is when soldiers go to places like Kenya and Canada for overseas exercise. The goal is simple. So the goal of this exercise is for you to get trained in the same environment where you fight in. So that's the main goal that's why we go to Canada and Kenya, because of what you're gonna face in reality. That's more important. So most of the time people ask why Kenya, why British soldiers go to Kenya. In Kenya, soldiers training there for this reason: extreme heat, dry dust, uh, long patrol, the terrains, the distance, and this kind of exercise prepares prepares you for places like Afghanistan, Iraq, you know, because you're going through the heat, you're going through the dust, you're going through toughness. And one thing, what soldiers learn on this kind of exercise is how to operate in intense heat, you know, the water discipline and survival, long range of patrol, the endurance, um, live firing, and open terrain. So all those kind of things that we have to get used to it. And one other thing is we go to Canada too for training. You know, why Canada? Canada is just opposite of Kenya. One thing about Canada, soldiers train in Canada to face this kind of freezing temperatures, snow, ice, the limited visibility, and one other things that we learn in there is we learn uh, to do how to live in cold weather, and uh, moving during fighting in snow, or how to weapon handling in extreme cold weather. Those kind of thing. Don't you think you holding that weapon in a cold weather? You think it's easy? No, it's tough, because your hands are getting numb that time, because you staying on operational tours. When your body shut down, everything goes down. Your weapon goes down, you go down, everything goes down, even your mentality goes down. So this is why we do this kind of training in a cold environment like Canada, because we want our soldiers to be a good soldiers, to face any kind of weather, to face any kind of situation in life, whether it's hot, whether it's cold. And the second thing is we train as well to do live firing, living in a uh, um, firing big machine guns, GMG, GPMG, 50 caliber, the mortars, the artillery, all those kind of thing. We were. That's why we were there to get trained with, and we train as well to become a quick reaction team. Any kind of thing that we have to face in life, we have to be that quick. We have to know how to deal with it. We have to know how to do the job, how to start the job, how to finish the job, all those kind of thing. And our main thing as well on those kind of environment is you have to be good with your communication. Communication, radio communication with your teammates on the ground. Communication with your platoon sergeant, your corporal, your lance corporal, your boss. All those kind of thing. Because one day you won't just stay there as a private soldier. One day you won't just stay there as a lance corporal. One day you'll go up the ranks. So you have to know all this kind of thing. So they train us as well to be mental toughness, ability, confidence in harsh environments, all those kind of things. You trust yourself, trust your team. If you do that, you will be a better soldier. Because you know how to do all those kind of things. And the second thing is, because of everything that you've been challenged in life, the truth is, when you do good training, when you go on operation tour, you will be a good soldier. You will be a better soldier. You know what you're doing. You know all your job. You know what you been expected to do. You know how to look after your weapon system. You know how to look after yourself. You know how to do your admins, all those kind of things. These small things will bring you up to a standard to be a good soldier. Because if you do good admins on the field, you'll be a good soldier on the ground. So that's why one thing that we doing on overseas exercise, not only overseas exercise, especially in UK, one thing that we're doing is, the exercise that we do is, we have to be a good soldier. Never mind we leave on the field for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, or more than that. Never mind. The thing is there. The main aim is a good soldier. You have to be a good soldier. You have to look after your teammate. Your teammate have to look after you. You there. We do things like buddy system. And going to be honest, when you do exercise as well, like overseas exercise, like your mentality is just you there, you readiness. You ready for any kind of operation tour. You ready for any kind of job coming up. Because I'm trained well, I'm qualified, I can do anything. The weather, I can handle it. Whether it's cold weather, whether it's hot weather, whether it's dusty weather, whether it's snow, whether it's too cold, our body is there, it's ready. Like I was saying earlier on, like you have to know how to hold your weapon properly when you doing operation tour, or when you're doing exercises, because you're facing different kind of weather in your life, especially on cold weather. Your hands just gone numb. Sometimes you can just feel your weapon. Sometimes you can even feel the trigger. That's why you would train on those kind of environment. To be a what? To be a very good soldier. To be what? To be a soldier that who can be trusted on the ground with your mates, with your team. When a platoon commander, when your sergeant major, when your OC let you go to go on the ground with that team, they trusted you. This guy will go with his team. He will make sure he will do his job. He come back, and they will come back alive. They will come back survive. Even though there's a reputation of a British Army soldier, they died on the battlefield, but that's happened. Things happens for life, but we can't stop that. But like I was saying, when we were trained to go on those kind of training for exercise, in overseas exercise, or even just in UK, everything just equal to the summer is just equal to one thing. Everyone has to be a good soldier. Never mind, you are logistics. Never mind, you are like you work in the office as AGC. Never mind, you work in the engineers. Never mind, the infantryman or paratrooperman or anything. As long as you are a soldier, the military, they have to make sure before they deploy you on any situation, they have to train you well, because, British Army, they know the British Army. In the world, they say be the best. We are be the best soldiers. But before be the best soldier, the British Army wants you to get trained properly, to get professional, to know how to approach any kind of situation you face in life. Not only a battlefield, not only while you're still wearing army uniform. No, anything happen in your life, you can deal anything, because you know why? Because you've been trained well. Different kind of exercises that you've been to, different kind of things that you do in your life. there's one good thing in the exercise that we do is we do scenarios like, repeated scenarios, do over it, like step by step. Everyone has to make sure you know your role. You know what you're doing on the ground. One thing they train you as well. You have to know how to answer your radio. You know how to talk communication on your radio. All those kind of things, small pieces like that, that brings up things together to be a good soldier. It's just not because you want to be a soldier and you just go do 1 to 3 days exercise and you expect it that you go to war and you have to be a good soldier straight away. No. Even though we go and exercise, there's your loved ones, is back home, your wife, your kids, mom and dad, your friends, your mates, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you want to call, they stay behind at home, they there with your family, but you go to do those kind of exercise, to go on those kind of training, so that you can face, reality in life, because they won't be there when you go out on the ground. Mom and dad won't be there, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife, they won't be there, your kids won't be there, One thing you gotta do, you just have to train hard, because if you wanna come and see them, you have to be a good soldier. If you wanna come and see them, you have to be readiness every time. You have to be ready. You have to stay switched on. You can't just do anything anyhow. Sometimes you get beasted. On exercise. You do different kind of training. You do tabbing a lot. You've been doing patrols like one all night. Do patrols and do the dawn attack in the morning. That's all part of training in the military. No one can stop you on that. Because the thing they were trying to do is, the main thing is, you have to be good. Not only you, your team, your platoon, your regiment, your brigade, as a whole British Army soldier, everyone has to be ready. No matter which cap badge you're from. The reason of exercise that we've been through in our life is you have to be ready at all time. Different kind of thing that we face, you have to be there. You have to face it. You have to know how to tackle it. You have to know how to do it. You have to know how to deal it on the ground. And one thing as well that we do on going out on overseas exercise is we learn the tradition of that country. Because, for example, I come from Fiji. Fiji has a different kind of tradition. And then I move over to UK to join the British Army. When I joined the British Army, there's a different other tradition and culture in there. And then from there, we go to Kenya, we go to Canada, we go to Belize for overseas exercise. So there's different kind of cultures in there. We learn so many things, Not only the tradition, the culture. We learn how to eat and drink their food, And those kind of thing that we've been through is it's all learning process and learning procedures in life, because there's a time you're not gonna be only at home. There's a time you're gonna leave mom and dad, you're gonna leave your kids, you're gonna leave your wife, you're gonna travel on your own, you're gonna do things on your own. So that's one good thing when you do training or go out on overseas exercise, because of the kind of training that they do to us. It's just they teach us to go to an environment. You can face anything, So that's one good thing about the British Army soldier. Not only the British Army soldier, I'll say all the soldiers in the world, they go on exercise just for one thing, just to be a good soldier, a better soldier. They have to be ready at all time. They have to know how to deal about everything. Casualty. You have to know how to deal about how to face enemies in your life. You have to know how to deal about different kind of situation. One thing that we learn so much when we go on overseas exercise as well as or exercise in UK is just sometimes we just do like one whole day can be a day of first aid, combat first aid. That combat first aid is just teaching you from head to toe, everything. Different kind of breaks, different kind of bleeding, different kind of tourniquet you're gonna use. How you gonna use your morphine? How you gonna use your bandage? How you gonna look after your patient? All those kind of things. So I'll say is that's one good thing, because you're not only gonna learn, you know, you can touch things on your hand. You know, you feel it. You know, when reality comes, you know what to expect. If you have a broken bones, if you see blood, if you see someone has some kind of illness in their body, you already face that, because you know what? Because we already get trained for that. You know, so that's one good thing about it. You know, one good thing about this podcast as well is, it brings me back memories because of what kind of training we do. You know, I'm really happy about it, because most of the time, as being in a civilian street now, you know, most of the things are gone. You know, but as soon as I start talking about this kind of overseas exercise, all my experiences during what I face in the military, you know, everything just come back. You know, everything just come back. So I just be thankful with that, you know, and I thank God as well, because not only going on overseas exercise, you know, when we go on overseas exercise, we don't know what's in front of us. So that's why I was thanking God, because He was there, He looked after us, you know, He took us to those kind of environment to learn what we can learn in there. So it's so good, because people can now, they know what British Army soldiers, what soldiers are doing nowadays. Even though the war is going on right now, different kind of countries, even though UK is not there, you know, well, one good example I'm telling you guys is, those people, they just don't start going to war yesterday or today. No, they would, before they go to war, they already get trained for years and years of sacrifice, leaving their family, go from here to there. You know, they make sure they train well, they train their soldiers, because any kind of order that comes from the hierarchy above, they know what they're doing. So that's what one good thing, you know. I'm really say I can be proud that that's the way that we get taught. That's the way that we learn how to fight in the war zone or the battlefield. So it's so good, because without those kind of training that we do, I'll say I'll be nothing. You know, I'll be nothing. I won't know anything. You know, the only thing I can say that we were learning from, we will go and exercise first. It's just like you're going to school. You have to go to school first before exam. So we have to go on exercise bus first before you go on operation tour, or before you get deployed on the ground. So it's like that. That's what we do, you know. So I'm really thankful, because I can say that I've been there. I've done that. I've done few overseas exercises. So that's one thing that we always do, is you're going on an overseas exercise, train, look after your admins, look after your body, look after your mind. You be mentally fit, physically fit, and especially spiritually fit. So yeah, that's one thing that we always do when we go on overseas exercise. So yeah, that's the end of my podcast today. I'll be back on my fifth podcast. Please just look forward and share my podcast, ring the notification bell, and please can I get some likes and love. And thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much for sharing my videos. I do appreciate it. A big vinakavakalevu. Please take care. Look after yourself. Look after your family. And may God bless you and bless me as well. And Isamare. Vinaka.